upon a time, there was a girl who named Lexi. And then there was Lisa and me. And we went for a walk.
So how many socks on your feet?
Put all day long. Not all daddy socks.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of socks. Are you silly? Get closer.
Don't be scared, it's just water.
It's okay. Stay there.
Wait.
All right. Good. Keep going.
Okay, girls, come on.
Hey, you stop crying. You just. Okay, that's it. Maybe there was an alien. Maybe there was an alien. Nasa, do you know that mommy and daddy just teasing you? There are no pink frogs. We're just teasing you. Do you remember that song about the niece? Can you sing it again? Nasa, good job. That's Antonio. Nasa, you're doing great. Go to Nasa. It's gonna get you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Make a wish, blow a candle.
Make a wish.
Yeah! Make a wish.
Yeah, remember the wish.
When you go to bed, okay?
You okay?
Yeah.
Everyone always talks about how hard it is being an adult in the real world, having to worry about things that you didn't have to as a kid, and finding somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with, or staying committed to the career that you worked so hard for because there really isn't any time to do anything else. I was always told that some of the hardest things being an adult is just like, responsibility and discovering who you are as a person. But nobody ever told me how hard it would be to let go of your childhood. How hard it would be emotionally to grow up and step into that new era of your life as an adult. There's a part of me that feels like this transition in my life is long past due. Because I remember as a kid that I just could not wait until the day that I turned 18. And then when I turned 18, all I ever wanted was just to be a kid again. So there's still a part of me that feels like I'm not ready yet. That I didn't fully get to savor my childhood and just really be present in every moment. So present that it feels like time doesn't even exist. In reality though, most things in your life, you're never really going to be ready for them. Deep down, I don't know if I even really want to grow up. And I don't know, maybe that's just me. And I'm scared sometimes that growing up means letting go of all those qualities that I cherished so much in childhood, and just your innocent view of life, where you're still so naive to all of the shadows of the world, and just when the world still seems so pure. When you really get to bask in the bliss of ignorance. And I'm scared of leaving my family. Growing up, it's always been my identity as a child that being the eldest daughter, the responsibility that I thought was mine to fix my family and to kind of steer that boat emotionally for my parents and for my sisters, and constantly trying to make sure that everybody feels loved and nobody's hurting, and that everybody's communicating and listening in the ways that everybody wants to be heard, and constantly just fighting that battle every day and taking on that title of, I don't know, like the glue of the family. And that's kind of always been my identity. It feels like I'm never going to be ready to grow up because, I feel like sometimes I never accomplished that purpose that I felt like I always had, fixing my family, because sometimes it felt like such an impossible feat to heal the people that I loved so much and spend so much energy on that and just watch myself kind of fall apart. And growing up, I never really learned how to take care of myself. And I don't know if this is like too personal, but I can go weeks without brushing my hair and it just gets all tangled, and because I have to brush it out, I end up losing a lot of hair. And it's never because I lack the energy to take care of myself. I just don't really ever think about it, and I'm trying to learn how to do that and how to recognize that taking time for yourself is really one of the best ways to ensure that you have enough energy to put yourself out in the world and experience the world. But I feel like because I was always so preoccupied with fixing my family, healing their wounds, and like especially with my parents, feeling like I always had to raise my sisters in a sense, and feel like because of that, I don't feel like I really got the childhood that I really wanted, and I think that's why I want to go back so badly, because I just want to redo it and just this time not worry so much about fixing everybody. Because sometimes now it just feels like, as much as I try to fix anybody, you can't really force a person to heal. I can't really know how to heal a person until I've known what that really means.
healing my own self. And it's funny because when I'm alone in the dark, my own thoughts in my mind, and there's no distractions, it's really easy to see so clearly all the parts of you that are hurting and the anatomy of your own trauma. But the second that I try to talk to it about anybody, it's like my mind completely turns off and I can't speak clearly about it. So I'm scared to go on my road trip because I know that there's going to be nothing distracting me from the things that I keep running away from. And I'm going to kind of have to force myself to face those things because there's really going to be nothing else to do but that. And every time I put myself in an uncomfortable situation, which I understand, I know that is what I'm doing by trying to live in my car for the next however many months or years, I don't know. But every time I find myself uncomfortable, that's really when everything starts oozing out of me, and those things that you try to push down so hard start to resurface. And I don't want to leave because I'm always gonna, like, I always feel like I didn't finish my job, I didn't fulfill my purpose, I didn't fix my family, and I'm scared that when I leave, they're just gonna fall apart because I'm not there to fix everything, but I know that's not my job. It was never my job to heal anybody as a kid. But I feel so guilty for thinking that way. I feel so selfish for thinking that way. And I hope that there comes a time where I stop wishing to myself that I was a kid again, and when I can forgive myself for not having had all of the answers as a kid and not having had all of my prayers answered. Asking the universe to show me how to heal my mother and show her how to love herself so that way she would stop hiding most of the day in her depression and that she'd finally just feel her love. And then asking the universe how to heal my dad and show him that it's safe to express emotion because I just begged to feel a part of him. He would never show to anybody else outside the family, real family intimacy. And I begged the universe to show me how to alleviate any of the effects that would have on my sisters. I'm still trying to figure out myself and figure out why I felt that so strongly as a child, that my purpose in life and why I came to this planet was to fix and heal my family and constantly micromanage every single emotional reaction that they had to any experience in life, and to make sure that it didn't hurt them too much to where they closed off, and to kind of helicopter everybody and just protect them from getting hurt. But I wish one thing I would have realized when I was younger, that life is not necessarily a good or a bad experience, but in reality it's just a very neutral experience. But you can really decide how you want to perceive it, how you want to interpret it. And that is not my job to interpret life and perceive it for other people, and to protect my sisters or my mother or my father from getting hurt, because life is not something to hide from. If you really, really, really want to experience life in its entirety, then it is going to hurt sometimes. But that pain is not something to run away from. And it's not something that has to break you down. And one of the most important things that I've learned is really being there for myself, because I always thought that I just lost my trust in other people. But I think in reality I just lost my trust in my ability to be there for myself whenever I open myself up emotionally and decide to be vulnerable, that I choose to be there for myself regardless of the reactions or the consequences that I might get from that. And instead of letting those things tear me down and decide that that is what defines me, but to instead just be there for me and be more neutral with life. And I think why I miss my childhood so much is because I never had, those qualities of really just being a kid, not caring about the consequences of things and experiencing the bliss of ignorance and seeing the world still as such a pure place to be, and really just being in the present moment. Because after a while, like throughout my childhood, that kind of stopped, where all I could think about were the consequences of things, and all I could think about was the past or what would happen in the future, constantly thinking about everybody other than myself. But in a way, it was a way for me to serve myself, because I always wanted to feel the validation that I did have a purpose that was meaningful for my family, and that's just what it felt like. But going on that road trip now feels scary, because it's not serving anybody other than myself. It's not doing anything for my mother or my father or my sisters. In fact, I don't really think that they want me to leave. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to leave, but there's a part of me that really feels like I've been needing this for such a long time. And I am scared to finally decide to do something for myself. Do something that makes me proud of myself instead of focusing on what would make somebody else proud. And I am worried about, dropping everything that I worked so hard for and essentially just turning away from everything that was served to me on this silver platter. And I worry sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie and say that the thought never crosses my mind, but it does, that I'm just throwing everything away and that I'll regret it one day. But I know for a fact that what I'm doing right now, I really am only doing not to prove anything to anybody, not to get any validation from anyone, not to run away from myself. And in fact, like, I know that I'm running right towards myself when I don't want to. But I have a lot about myself that I really need to sit with that I haven't sat with for a while. Or ever, in that sense. But I'm leaving for my road trip in 3 days, I think. I'm excited, but also terrified for so many different reasons. And I definitely want to go on a lot of adventures, emotionally and physically. And I feel like for me, every time I go on an adventure out into the world, I always end up going on some kind of adventure internally and exploring more about myself and about the world and life. It's something I really enjoy, and I enjoy writing, so I would love to do that for the rest of my life. But we'll see. I can't have too many expectations. Just we'll see how things unfold. Growing up, a coping mechanism of mine, or I don't know if it's a coping mechanism, or it was just something that really helped me process the things that I was going through, was writing. So I think during my road trip I'm going to be doing a lot of writing. I've already been writing a lot, and it always feels like when I start I can't really stop myself from writing more. I might make a book and see what that turns into. But I want to try and be as expressive as I can. I want to make more videos, and because I've been so busy with I didn't renovate it. With, building everything and buying everything so that way I can kind of live in my car and figuring out the logistics of that, I completely underestimated how long that was going to take, and that took me almost 2 months to figure everything out. But now that everything's finally done, I definitely want to be making more videos, but simply just as a way for me to express myself, because that is something that I'm scared to do, because sometimes it really feels like I have nothing valuable to say to people and that I should just be quiet, or I'm scared of the reactions that people will have to what I say. And I feel like nowadays it's really scary to say anything, really. But I feel like putting this out there, and I know that I want to do this kind of as a digital diary for myself, and I could just keep that to myself and not share it online. But I think sharing it online, for me at least, helps me just let go of, protecting myself from the consequences of sharing your perspective out in the world with other people. It's always there to criticize and pick at, and people will make it your whole identity when sometimes it's not the full picture. I think in a sense, with me expressing myself and trying to go on that journey of self-discovery and healing, that maybe it can encourage somebody else or validate someone else's experience that they're going through as well. Because I know a lot of the things that I say now and a lot of the things that I want to say, and I know I have a lot of things to say about life and about myself, that they were definitely things I needed to hear as a kid. And I definitely believe that if you feel strongly or have a calling to share something or to share a perspective, a truth that you believe in, or an experience, if you have that calling to share and to express, there are inevitably people out in the world who are waiting to hear those words. So what you have to say does matter. It does matter to somebody out there in the world. And even if there isn't that one person in the world that it does matter to, it does matter to you. And I know I'm just saying that to kind of encourage myself, but I do know that there's probably somebody out there who needs to hear that too. Your experiences are valid, they're worth sharing, they're worth listening to. You're as human as anybody else, and there's nothing about your life that makes it less valid than anybody else's. But if you watched this video, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to find something that meant something to you, or maybe something that validated your own human experience. And just remember that if you really have something that you want to share or something that you want to express, and even if it's every moment of your life, say it, express it, because there will be somebody out there that's waiting to hear that, that's wanting to see that, to experience what it is you have to express out to the world. And even if it's nobody, the one person that will appreciate it so much is the child in you that at one point in their life might have learned that it's safer to be quiet, to hide. Do it for you. If there is something you want to share, there is somebody who wants to receive it, even if that person is your inner child. Because there are a lot of things my inner child really needed to hear. And a lot of those things I'm starting to have the courage to share out into the world. Express yourself, regardless of what other people will think, regardless of other people's reactions, or do it for you. Do it for your inner child that's craving that openness, that's craving that vulnerability. Because there is strength in vulnerability, I definitely believe that. Yeah. Thank you for watching this video if you did. It does mean a lot to me.